A very warm good morning to each and everyone present here. Today we are starting with the day two of the international conference. I welcome each and everyone here. For the first, for the plenary, we have on board Dr. Prakash Kishore. We welcome you, sir. Dr. Prakash Kishore is the founder and director of Positive Energy Art Foundation. He has completed his painting education from Santiniketan, has exhibited in many national and international exhibitions, which includes the countries like India, United Kingdom, Russia, Thailand, Germany, etc. He is a national scholar and national award winner from Ministry of Culture, Government of India. Curated many national and international exhibitions in collaboration with various countries like Malaysia, Mauritius, Thailand, Indonesia, Egypt, South Korea, South Africa, Bangladesh, Nepal, etc. He has presented several papers and research projects in various national and international conference seminars. Sir, we are honored to have you on board. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind introduction about me. First of all, I would like to thank everybody for putting me on the board and for this valuable presentation. So today I'll be talking about the metaphor of art, basically, and it is one of the very important topic, which is always important to understand any sort of art. So to begin with, I'll just start my slide so it will be easier for all of us to understand what actually metaphor is all about. So across this question that we have not understood what is art. Okay, so just to enhance these questions and to explain these things, I thought of presenting this whole set of metaphoric representation, which is very much important to understand any forms of art. We all know that we know art through images, right? It's all about images and how do we interact with the images. It's like understanding a grammar and understanding, if you want to understand a sentence, you need to understand the grammar and the phrases of the particular sentence. And the same thing goes with the art as well. So when we talk about the art, the first question which comes in our mind is that what is art? See, most of us, we know that art is related to only painting or sculpture, okay? But mainly art is a visual language which we use to express our thoughts, feelings, and emotions. It's not only that we do it just as a hobby, because see, hobby is very different from a conceptual art. Hobby is very different from a leisure art, okay? So just to explain, I would like to mention that art is also called as visual art because visual is added because whatever we see it from the visual. The vocabulary is in the visual, okay? So a visual object or experience consciously created through an expression of skill or imagination. So whatever we try to execute in art, we always have a imagination behind it, you know. We always think of something and then we start painting about it. So this is the real idea about art, that you think something and then you want to express something and then you do it on paper with the help of color or lines or brush, anything. So the art is mainly divided into 5 segments. There are mainly 5 branches, and the topmost is painting, then sculpture, then printmaking, then photography, and installation. Okay, so these things are very much important. When we come to the art, we need to understand that art is not only related to a painting. Okay, art is basically a concept, and for to represent and to execute this concept, we need this particular branches. Okay, Okay, so let me talk about art as a concept. Okay, because the whole paper will go with the art as a concept, because we have seen people doing painting or art, okay, when they are free. Okay, sometimes they enjoy it. Okay, sometimes they, you know, show it someone just to leisure time, and but art has a different purpose as well. Okay, art is thought provoking. Art is a representation which brings out inner self also. Okay, so when we talk about the concept making in art, it goes with various kind of processes. It doesn't comes that, okay, you just started with a pen and a pencil and you just made an art. There is always a process behind it. So the first thing comes is the process of developing a concept, right? If you don't have a concept, you can end up with a confusing art. When there is a confusion in art, not only you, even the audience will not attract, and they will not understand that what you have made. So it's very much important to develop a process. Okay, a process which will develop a concept. Once you have developed a concept, then it comes the execution. Okay, you have a concept, how you are going to execute it. Okay, and there comes the selection of these branches: painting, sculpture, printmaking, photography, because these all are having all the branches are having vast opportunities. Okay, they all have technical ideas, they all have technical aspects, and according to the concept you choose the branches. Suppose if I'm a painter, so my concept will always build in the form of a painting elements. Okay, I will always think I will always think about the execution, that how I will execute my concept in the painting. So when you think about the execution of concept, then comes the image vocabulary. Because suppose if you want to execute something in about rain, so you should have a image vocabulary about what are the images which is related to the rain. You cannot just put a sun when there is a raining, and when you cannot just show anything else that everything is going on and it's raining. Okay, you have to connect with the images, you have to put the suitable images in relation to the concept. Okay, once you have a vocabulary of concept, then comes that how you will execute now those images. Sometimes you have to give importance to the main image. Okay, and then you put some images to support the main images. Okay, so there comes the play of images, the politics of images. Okay, when the politics of images is there, then you have to think about that how the images or how the forms are going to react in front of the viewers, in front of the audiences. Because sometimes what you paint or what image you have painted in a painting, or you have sculpted in a sculpture, that doesn't mean that it will represent the same meaning to the audience, because audience will see it from their perspective. They have already developed a perspective of understanding and seeing things in this world. So it's not necessary that they will always see what you have painted in your terms. They already have their own terms, they already have their own understanding, and then they will look after your painting. So the execution of image as an artist is very important to always clarify the meaning of that image. And then comes the application of technique. And application of technique, it's all about how you compose, how you apply the color. Okay, about the form, the design, expression, etc. So when everything is clear with this, okay, then we have a metaphor. Okay, and basically the whole presentation is all about the metaphor. Okay, so if we talk about the metaphor, so a visual metaphors, there are many metaphors. It's verbal metaphor, textual metaphor. Though I'm doing it in a visual art, so I'll be talking about the visual metaphor. Okay, so the visual metaphor is an image that suggests a particular association, similarity, and analogy between two or more generally unconnected elements. It means it works as a bridge, okay, between the conceptual thing and the contextual thing. The conceptual thing which goes within yourself, that what concept you have developed, and the contextual thing goes with the painting, with the subject matter, with the art piece you are going to create. Because sometimes an image demands another image. They want, sometimes it's not in your part, it's not in your plan, but the image itself will demand some other images to support them. And there comes the importance of metaphor. Okay, so generally this metaphor, it works as a bridge between the known and the unknown. Okay, and it tells us to look beyond the literal to develop a more better and deeper level of meaning. If there is no metaphor, there won't be a depth understanding or a depth meaning of art. So if we have an understanding of metaphor, so it can transform the normal place into art. So the play of metaphor, the play of images is very important, okay, to develop something in art and to separate it from art and craft, because craft is a different segment, art is a different segment. So metaphors use symbolism. We use symbols to define metaphor. We use comparison to strength to a point. You know, when we have to support an image, we support another image. It's same like if you want to draw a big line, you just draw a small line beside one line. The first line automatically becomes the bigger, right? So there, the smaller line is playing as a metaphor. Okay, it has supported to the bigger, to the line which made it bigger. So this play is the play is mainly the metaphor, okay, which goes in visual art also. So it also act to represent certain ideas or thoughts. So when we talk about metaphor, iconography plays a very important role. Iconography, when we talk about iconography, it has a separate segment at how a icon or how a image turns into an icon. Okay, sometimes the symbols are enough to represent a metaphor. So visual metaphors may be obvious or abstract, and it depends upon the artist's emotion, ideas, or experiences. Okay, so what I'm talking about is all about a particular experience, about a particular emotion about of an artist, that how he is going to use metaphor images to help his artwork to create a clear and deeper understanding. To clarify this concept, I have chosen all the very popular images, because in art, I know there's all so many general audiences here who are not from the art background also. So thinking of that, I have thought of choosing all the popular images which each and every individual in India and outside has all seen it. Okay, that is the real reason why I have chosen all these images, which will come in the later slides. So we all know about the Indian gods or goddesses. We have all seen the images, okay, but we never thought that the origin of these images, from where it all came, you know, what are the origin of these images? How come a god is portrayed like this? Why not they are portrayed into different other ways? So everything has their own origin, and this origin goes to Raja Ravi Verma. So Raja Ravi Verma is known as one of the pioneer in Indian art, okay, and he was South Indian. He was born in South, okay. So he was a court painter, basically. Court painter in the sense, in the time of kings, they used to keep painters who used to paint for them, and those painters were known as court painters, okay. So the Raja Ravi Verma was a celebrated Indian artist, famous for his realistic portrayal of Indian gods, goddesses, and mythological characters. This is from where it all started, about the portraits of gods. So referred to as the father of modernism, he was one of the first Indian artists to work with oil paints, bring detail, texture, and the nonsense interplay of light and shadows to Indian art. Raja Ravi Verma crafted a new and unique visual aesthetic that remains just as alluring, influential today as it was more than a century ago. Just to brief a little bit more, I'll just add on this. Raja Ravi Verma was someone who had a who was the first Indian artist who had a Western influence. Okay, Western influence means he was influenced in techniques of West. India is having a Greco-Roman influences from the Gandhara art. Okay, and from that time onwards, we always have a Greco-Roman and Greco-Indian concept developed in art, from where we choose the technical aspects of the Western art, and we created our new art with Indian mythological Indianness and the Western techniques. So the subjects are Indian, but they are all painted and rendered in Western techniques. Okay. So to start with this image is the first image of Ma Saraswati. Okay, you can clearly see it that this image and the image which we have seen now is totally different. Okay, so this was particular a calendar, and just to give a little information, I would like to say that Raja Ravi Verma's main project was to bring art into each and individual's home. Okay, he wanted his art to reach each and every Indian's home. Okay, so that time printing was introduced. Okay, printing press was there, and lithography press was there. So he was the first Indian whose prints were reproduced. These are all paintings which were reproduced and reprinted into the oleographs. Okay, it's a kind of printing technology which was there in 1910 and 1920s, from where you can just print multiple prints. Now we have offset printing, digital printing, but that time it was not there. It was having a oleograph printing. So from there, the sense of making multiple prints of one painting started, and this is how the painting reached each and everyone's home. So this is a calendar, okay, promoting Vinola. For instance, features Raja Ravi Verma's Lakshmi. Okay, say when you see on the logo, okay, it is for a foreign company which is based in London, and in fact, Vinolia, an expensive luxury show which had the distinction of having been supplied on the ill-fated Titanic, issued a series of calendars from 1920s to the mid-30s. Okay, so here comes the importance that how these four hands has come. Why these hands are there? Why not two hands? Why not a lady as a simple lady showing as a goddess? So these hands work as a metaphor to differentiate between a normal lady and a goddess. Suppose if a normal lady is shown, we won't connect it as a god. We will think it as a normal lady. We won't be respecting. We won't be thinking that she is having a supernatural power. So to enhance these qualities, we always add something which is beyond normal. Okay, when we see the god, when we see any god, there is always beyond normal things. And what is beyond normal? These are all about adding the extra powers. It's all about adding how you give it a more power, how you make the images more powerful, that makes you feel that no, says or he is something else, a divine. Okay, so that is the concept where we started having different hands. We started adding different hands. Okay, so this thing started from Raja Ravi Verma time. And how to portray the god and goddesses, we have all this text in Vishnu Dharmottar Puran. We have a Puran, we have so many Purans, and to refer to this, we have Vishnu Dharmottar Puran, which has a clear identification and a clear written thing that how you have to portray a god, how the hand should be there, how the twist should be there in the body, and all those things. So coming on next slide, see how a Saraswati is portrayed. And I want to show one very important thing, that time when you see the facial features, it is just like a common people. Okay, it's not exaggerated. The common people of what is there in that time, he has just taken that reference and made it like a very common lady with all those extra hands and playing sitar, playing veena, and these things are there. Okay. So this is the main concept of bringing metaphor to enhance the meaning and to enhance the quality of the images. And see, here is a peacock. Generally, we see that Saraswati is always there with his swan. Okay, but at that time, in their concept, peacock was more important. They had a different concept, and they were using peacock, which was generally in the new term. It has been replaced. Okay, so when we see about this new image, see, it is vast different from what we have seen the first image of Ma Saraswati. It is way more realistic. The swan has come, okay, and the hands are well rendered, and it has been given a dramatic position as well. Okay, so these things are very important to create supernatural elements so that a general public will bow to them, will always connect to them. So in this context, it's always important that how you are choosing an image and how you are using metaphor in that image to create a meaning, to make it something different from what actually it is in real. So just in a reference, I have put one more image so that we can see that how the culture is different in India and the Japanese. See, this is also known as a Japanese Saraswati. When we go to Japan, when we see the elements over there in Japan, we see that Japanese goddess is also represent like this, which has originated from the Hindu goddess Saraswati. But see, the whole attire is different. Okay, the whole dress is different. Even she is having four hands, which we can see that four hands is there. Okay, she is playing a local instrument from there, which is also related to music. But the facial feature, the execution, the art, everything is different. So here comes the role of culture, that how a same thing, a same concept changes according to culture, right? So again, if we see about the next images, which I'm going to talk about, the image of Ma Durga, goddess Durga. Okay, we all know that goddess Durga is represented as Shakti. Okay, so just to enhance, we have seen this image also, okay, with so many things. See, these all the hands works as a metaphor. Okay, just imagine what if we remove all these hands. It won't be the similar image, or it won't be the similar, it won't put the similar impact. To put a deeper impact, you know, to give it a supernatural power, we as an artist always use these small metaphors. Okay, and each metaphor have a different meaning. When you read all these things, each metaphor is having a very different meaning. And the lion is also there. Why? Because it shows the courage, it shows the authenticity. Okay, it shows that how important a lady is who is sitting on the lion, because the general people cannot sit on the lion. So to differentiate between the god and the general people, the lion has also been used as a metaphor. Okay, so the same thing goes again when Ravi Verma painted this image in the starting. You see the representation, this is of 1910. Okay, and when you see there is very less things in the hands. Okay, very less weapons are there. But again, when it comes to 1940s, see the representation is changed. Okay, and the Trishul has come. Earlier there was no Trishul. Okay, now the Trishul has come. So when we see the next image, again we will see that how it has changed from 1940s to 1960. You see now the hands, there are number of hands, the number of hands has been increased. Okay, earlier there were only when we see the earlier slide, we have 1 2 3 4 hands. When we see the next slides, we have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. So like 9 or 10 hands at one side. So see, this is how the metaphors are changing time to time, how they are enhancing the qualities. And this is what we see, the today's portrait, today's print. This is all totally changed from where it has started. So it has a technological difference. Okay, the technology is high, they have put an impact, and this all the jewelries, crowns are there, and the concept of jewelry and this crown, it all started for Raja Ravi Verma because he was a court painter. He has seen the Rajas and Maharanis, the kings and queens, always wearing that mala and all this golden jewelries, and so he portrayed in the same way, and that continued till now and it will continue forever. Now, whatever we see that over jewelry and over thing, it has come from Raja Ravi Verma itself because he was a court painter. He has seen people in that way. He painted in that way. His print reached each and every individual's home, and now it continued. Just because of the technology, it has exaggerated. So we till now we have seen the images of Devi, okay, God. So we have very important one more image, which is Bharat Mata. Okay, so I won't go into this text, rather I will show the image. So this is an image of Bharat Mata. We always say Bharat Mata ki Jai, but we never thought that from where it has originated, from where this has come. Who is Bharat Mata? How come this Bharat Mata ki Jai has come into our life? Okay, so the Bharat Mata is a painting, okay, and this painting has been done by Abanindranath Tagore, who is from the Bengal school, and he is one of the most important artists of Shanti Niketan. So when we talk about Abanindranath Tagore, the Bengal school, okay, that when he made this painting, so it was all about to represent the Indianness, to with that being Indian is most important thing. So word Bharat Mata is derived from Sanskrit language, which means Bharatamba. So Bharat means India and Amba means Mata. So in this painting, Bharat Mata is shown with 4 hands, and you see particularly in this image, it has a identification, the features and all as a Bengali lady, because Abanindranath Abanindranath was from Bengal. So the cultural things happened there also. When he portrayed the Bharat Mata, automatically the portraiture began, it started becoming like a Bengali lady. Okay, see, she's also having 4 hands, but she's not having any, god or goddesses type of thing which we have seen earlier, like heavy jewelry and all those things. So this word is holding 4 hands, and if you see all those things there, one is having Rudraksh Mala, which is having a different meaning. One is having this, this book type of thing. This is having khadi clothes. Okay, so these all things are totally Indian, just to protest against the people of over there, to protest against the thing of going of this individual Indianness, to come with the Indianness, that okay, we are Indian, we have to save India. Okay, because it was by that time it was being ruled. So all these things are very important when you talk about the metaphor. This Bengali lady and this color of the cloth plays as a metaphor, that see, Bharat, this is the Bharat Mata, this is Bharat, this is India. So all these images are very much important, and when you see this, while the partition of Bengal 1911, so this Bharat Mata images changed. Okay, now it has more become as an Indian lady. Okay, no more hands, but you see Gandhiji sitting in the lap of Bharat Mata. So these Gandhiji is now playing as a metaphor, because Gandhiji at that time was one of the most iconic people. So this is how the metaphor is playing. Again, when we see this images, we see how Bharat Mata has changed. 1, 2, 3 images. This is how Bharat Mata has changed, and now people have accepted showing reality as a goddesses. So this thing has continued in the, so if in Christianity, just I will read this, that Jesus said to them, I am the bread of life. Again, Jesus said that I am the light of the world. So these two concepts from the text was brought to the visuals. Here one is represented as the bread, is offering bread, and then again as a life, as a light. Okay, see, that is the main reason that when we see churches, the architecture is in that way that a lot of light is coming. The main concept is that Jesus has said that he is light. So when there is light, there is Jesus. Not only in India, everything is there in the international also. In Egypt, when we see this Egypt, this Bastet, also called Bas, is an Egyptian goddesses worshipped in the form of lioness and later a cat. See, the images are two different images, human and the cat. So the two images are mixed together to create a hyper image, okay, which is different from a normal human being. And being an abnormal image, people started worshipping that, okay, she's having a supernatural power. And these images, we see that 1, 2, 3, 4, these are all having different heads. All this different head is playing as a metaphor, because all head of all different animals or eagle or lion or anything has their own meaning. So when, just let me bring it to the postmodern thing. We have all come across these images. See, we all know that we are now into the hands of technology. We are now, even our children are into the hands of mobile phone. The presentation of mobile phone and the human being and this animal, this what you might call is the scorpion or anything, how the metaphor has been played, how the images has played a role, that it clarifies every meaning. The same goes with the second thing, the image, that 100 rupees is there, no one is there. When you change the 200 rupees and you crossed it to 100 rupees, so this metaphor image of 200 rupees has brought people to the same objects. When we talk about the Mona Lisa painting, this is one of the most important time, that when we are going through Corona thing, the mask has become a metaphor. Okay, when we see a mask on this type of painting, this is Mona Lisa, and now this art has been changed by Canadian-based artist. He has put a mask on the painting, though it's a digital photograph, but he has put a mask. So this is how the metaphor is working in the contemporary world, that even a small things clarifies the whole concept. So to understand this concept, we have to see each and every individual images. We should not ignore any image. If you want to read a painting, you should see it for a longer time and see what are the images made into that and how they have reacted and how the images are connected. So at the end, I'm showing you a work which is my painting. Actually, this is my work, and being a painter, I continuously practice also. That there is also a lot of metaphors. Okay, when you see this is the images, you can see that there is a snail, big snail, cell of a big snail, which has a thorns on it. Okay, it has a cactus. The blue image of the snail is having cactus. Again, a lady is coming out of it. She is having wings and she is having a rose on the top as a crown, because whatever in the crown, whatever is there on your head, it is always meant as a very important thing. So the nature, the flower is there on the head, which is most important thing here. And being a lady coming out of this cell, it gives a meaning, because cell, this snail is always represented as a slow motion. Okay, but another aspect is there, it is hard, it is always safe. If you be inside it, you are always safe. Same goes with the turtle also. They are having a very hard cover. So the metaphor is playing there, that how you use the cell. I have used this cell in context of the hardness from where a lady is coming and she is having wings. She wants to fly. This is just a human being who wants to fly, but who is having a particular, slow life, but a safe life. But if you will fly, then you might have some disturbance in your life. So that's why the title is dilemmatic, that you are in a dilemma, what to do, whether I should go out of it or I should stay there, whether I should enjoy nature or I should not do this kind of things. So just to conclude, I would like to say that the use of metaphor in art or of any form is to engage audience of a deeper level. If you don't use the metaphor, audience will not understand it into the deeper level. So although using a metaphor in art is one of the most effective ways to add deeper meaning, it is also one of the most difficult elements to incorporate. Sometimes what happens when we use metaphor which is too much confusing, it doesn't clarify the concept. So it always sometimes it creates the opposite effect as well. So in painting and similar visual art forms, there are often there are often no such restrictions for using the metaphor. Art is all about freedom. You have all freedom and you're all set free to use anything and how you want to do, but a reason should be there, a grammar should be there. So many artists depict metaphorical symbols or pictures which can be taken in more than one way. It doesn't mean that what you have said is the only meaning. It can have more than one meaning, and this allows the viewer to become more engaged in their artwork. So thank you, everybody. This is the presentation about my art and the metaphor, the use of metaphor. And I hope it is clear to each and everyone about the topic and everything. So thank you once again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a lovely presentation. The house is open for questions. If anyone has any question, we would take up that. Sir, I do not see any questions in the chat box. Rather, I see appreciation for the presentation and your artwork. Indeed, sir, you have covered each and every point in a very detailed manner, starting from how art is a concept to how we can use art as free. We have the freedom to art. And what I felt the most interesting part was to see your artwork. That was really indeed a masterpiece, sir. We are really honored to have you on board. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.